I love someone else, Joseph. I don't need you anymore, said Donna, my wife, laughing at her company's party. I smiled and quietly replied, perfect, because I know about your meetings with the boss and have already handed the evidence to HR. Her face went pale as I walked away. This is a story of betrayal, revenge, and justice that catches up with everyone. Ready for shocking twists? The bass thumped through the crowded rooftop venue in Miami, where neon lights danced across the skyline. Joseph stood by the bar, nursing a soda water, watching his wife Donna weave through the sea of tech industry elites at her company's annual gala. She was in her element, laughing with colleagues, her charisma lighting up the room. For 9 years, Joseph had admired her drive, her ability to command attention. But tonight, something fell off. Her laughter lingered too long with one man, Conrad Evans, her billionaire boss, whose tech empire dominated South Florida's startup scene. Joseph, 32, had built his own IT consulting firm from the ground up, pulling in clients across the state. He wasn't one for these glitzy events, but Donna, 30, thrived in them. She'd been distant lately, late nights at the office, vague texts about meetings. He brushed it off as her ambition at play. After all, she was a rising star in Conrad's marketing department. But as he watched her lean closer to Conrad, their shoulders brushing, a knot tightened in his gut. Joseph, you're looking lonely over here, Donna called out, her voice playful but sharp as she approached with Conrad in tow. The crowd parted for them, eyes lingering on the power duo. Conrad, mid-40s with a polished charm, extended a hand. Good to see you, Joe. Donna's told me a lot about you. Joseph shook his hand, forcing a smile. It's Joseph, actually. And yeah, she's mentioned you too. His tone was neutral, but his eyes flicked to Donna, searching for a reaction. She avoided his gaze, sipping her wine. The conversation shifted to small talk, but Donna's words cut through like a blade. Joseph's always so busy with his little IT projects, she said, her smile tight. He doesn't get out much. Not like us, right, Conrad? She laughed, resting a hand on Conrad's arm. The gesture was subtle but deliberate, and the crowd around them didn't miss it. A few colleagues exchanged glances. Joseph's jaw clenched. My little projects keep the lights on, he said evenly, his voice low but firm. But I'm here now, supporting my wife. The emphasis on wife wasn't lost on her. Donna's smile faltered, but she recovered quickly, steering Conrad toward another group. Let's mingle, she said, leaving Joseph standing alone. He didn't follow. Instead, he slipped his phone from his pocket and opened an email he'd received 2 weeks ago. Anonymous, no sender name, just a subject line. Look closer. Attached were photos, Donna and Conrad at a hotel bar, her hand on his knee. Text messages, too, pulled from some unknown source. Meet me at the usual spot. Jay won't know. The words burned into his brain. He'd spent days verifying the evidence, cross-referencing dates and locations. It was undeniable. Donna was having an affair. His first instinct had been to confront her, to end it right there. But something stopped him. Rage gave way to strategy. He wasn't the type to lash out blindly. Instead, he called his old friend Leo, a former Air Force pilot whose own marriage had crumbled years ago when Conrad seduced his wife, Megan. Leo had been blunt. Conrad's a predator. He targets married women, gets off on the power trip. You want to take him down, you do it smart. Leo's words echoed as Joseph watched Donna laugh with Conrad across the room. The gala's noise faded, replaced by a plan forming in his mind. He wouldn't just walk away. He'd expose them both, legally, methodically, and publicly. As the night wore on, Donna returned to his side, her face flushed from wine and attention. You're quiet tonight, she said, her tone laced with mockery. Not jealous, are you? Joseph met her eyes, his expression unreadable. Not all, he said. In fact, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. Makes things clearer. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. I know about you and Conrad, Donna, and I've already sent proof to HR. Her glass slipped, nearly spilling. What are you talking about? She hissed, her voice low but panicked. The confident facade cracked, her eyes darting to Conrad, who was now charming a group of investors. You'll find out soon enough, Joseph said, stepping back. Enjoy the party. He turned and walked toward the exit, the Miami skyline glowing behind him. As he stepped into the elevator, his phone buzzed. A text from Leo. Evidence delivered to the board. Media's next. You ready? Joseph typed back. Let's do this. Joseph's phone vibrated as he stepped out of the elevator into the humid Miami night. The gala's music faded behind him, replaced by the hum of traffic and distant waves. Leo's text glowed on the screen. "Meet me at the diner. We need to move fast." Joseph didn't hesitate. He climbed into his car and headed to their usual spot, a 24-hour diner on the edge of Coconut Grove, where they could talk without prying eyes. Inside, Leo was already at a corner booth, sipping black coffee. At 35, he had the weathered look of someone who'd seen too much. Years in the Air Force, followed by the wreckage of his marriage after Conrad Evans seduced his wife, Megan. She'd spiraled after the affair, losing her job and her family. Leo had never forgiven himself for not seeing it sooner. Now his eyes were sharp, focused. "You dropped the bomb on her," he said as Joseph slid into the booth. "How'd she take it?" "Like she saw a ghost," Joseph replied, his voice steady but laced with anger. "She thought she could humiliate me in front of everyone and get away with it. Not anymore." Leo nodded, sliding a folder across the table. "This is what we've got so far." Inside were printouts of the anonymous email Joseph had received, photos of Donna and Conrad at a hotel, timestamped text messages, and bank records showing transfers from one of Conrad's personal accounts to a hidden one in Donna's name. $50,000 over 6 months. "Looks like he was buying her loyalty," Leo said. "Or her silence." Joseph scanned the documents, his jaw tightening. This isn't just an affair. He's funneling money to her. That's got to be against company policy, right? "More than that," Leo said, leaning forward. "Conrad's company, Evans Tech, has strict ethics rules. No fraternization, no financial impropriety. If we can prove he's misusing company funds, the board will have his head. And Donna's tied to it. She's been signing off on marketing budgets that don't add up." Joseph's mind raced. He'd spent the last 2 weeks digging into Donna's phone when she wasn't looking, using her passcode to access her messages. The texts between her and Conrad were damning. Flirty, yes, but also hints of her pushing for promotions in exchange for favors. It made his stomach churn, but it also fueled his resolve. "So, we send this to HR and the board. Then what?" Leo smirked. "We don't stop there. I got to contact a local news outlet, someone who owes me a favor. We leak just enough to stir up a scandal without implicating you. The media loves a story about a sleazy CEO. Once the board starts digging, they'll find a rest." Joseph hesitated. "What about Donna? She's not stupid. She'll try to spin this, maybe even come after me." "Let her try," Leo said. "You've got the evidence, and you're clean. She's the one who's been lying. Besides, I've been tracking her car. GPS tag, I slipped under the bumper. She's been meeting Conrad at his beach house in Key Biscayne every Tuesday night. We can use that to predict her moves." Joseph raised an eyebrow. "You're scary when you're focused." "Learned it the hard way," Leo said, his voice darkening. "Conrad did this to Megan. Charmed her, used her, then dropped her when her husband found out. I won't let him ruin another family." The plan was simple but precise. Joseph would compile the evidence into a formal complaint and send it anonymously to Evans Tech's HR department, with a copy to the board of directors. Leo would handle the media leak, ensuring the story gained traction without revealing their involvement. They'd time it for maximum impact, right before the company's quarterly board meeting in 3 days. If all went well, Conrad and Donna would be too busy scrambling to save their careers to notice Joseph's next move, protecting his assets before filing for divorce. Back at home, Joseph found Donna pacing in the kitchen, her phone clutched tightly. She looked up as he entered, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and defiance. "What did you do, Joseph?" she demanded. "I got a call from HR. They want to meet with me tomorrow. Something about concerns in the marketing department." Joseph kept his expression neutral. "Sounds like you've got some explaining to do," he said, brushing past her to grab a glass of water. "Maybe you should have thought twice before getting cozy with your boss." Her voice trembled. "You're trying to ruin me, aren't you? You're jealous because I'm successful, because I'm moving up while you're stuck in your little consulting world." Joseph turned, his calm facade cracking just enough to let her see his anger. "I know about the affair, Donna. I know about the money he's been sending you. And soon, everyone else will too." He didn't wait for her response, heading upstairs to his office and locking the door. The next morning, Joseph sent the complaint to Evans Tech's HR, using a burner email account Leo had set up. He attached the photos, texts, and bank records, along with a detailed timeline of Donna and Conrad's meetings. He kept his name out of it, framing it as a concerned whistleblower. By noon, Leo confirmed the media leak had gone through. A local news blog had picked up the story, hinting at ethical violations at Evans Tech. The post was vague, but tantalizing, enough to spark curiosity. Joseph's phone buzzed with a new message from Leo. Board's calling an emergency meeting tomorrow. Conrad's sweating. Donna's been summoned too. Joseph allowed himself a small smile. The trap was closing, but Donna wasn't going down quietly. That evening, she confronted him again, this time with a lawyer on speed dial. "If you're behind this, Joseph, I'll make sure you regret it," she said, her voice low and venomous. "I've got friends at the company. They'll back me up." "Good luck with that," Joseph replied, unfazed. "You might want to check your email. HR's got some questions for you." As she stormed out, Joseph opened his laptop and pulled up his divorce attorney's contact. He wasn't just fighting for justice. He was fighting for his future, and he wasn't about to lose. The Miami sunrise cast a golden glow over the city as Joseph sat in his car outside a coffee shop, his laptop open on the passenger seat. He refreshed the local news blog and saw the headline, "Evans Tech CEO under fire for alleged ethics violations." The article didn't name names yet, but the implication was clear. Conrad Evans was in trouble. Joseph's anonymous complaint to HR and the board had landed, and Leo's media leak was gaining traction. Social media was buzzing with speculation about financial misconduct at Evans Tech. The board's emergency meeting was set for noon, and Joseph knew Donna and Conrad would be walking into a firestorm. His phone buzzed. A text from Leo. "Donna's at the office now. GPS shows her car parked at Evans Tech HQ. Conrad's there too. Showtime." Joseph nodded to himself, starting the engine. He wasn't going to the meeting. He didn't need to. The evidence he'd sent was airtight. Photos of Donna and Conrad together, text messages planning secret meetups, and bank records showing $50,000 in transfers from Conrad's personal account to a hidden one in Donna's name. The kicker? Donna had approved inflated marketing budgets that funneled company money to vendors linked to Conrad's side ventures. It wasn't just an affair. It was a breach of fiduciary duty. Joseph drove to his lawyer's office in downtown Miami, where he'd arranged a meeting with his divorce attorney, Rachel Torres. Rachel, a sharp negotiator with a reputation for winning tough cases, had reviewed the evidence and was ready to move. "You've got her dead to rights," Rachel said, sliding a draft of the divorce petition across her desk. "Florida's a no-fault state, but her financial misconduct gives us leverage. We can demand she returns the $50,000 from that secret account and waive any claim to your business." Joseph scanned the document, his mind half on the chaos unfolding at Evans Tech. "She's going to fight this," he said. "She's already threatening to spin it against me." "Let her try," Rachel replied. "The board's going to tear her apart today, and if she's smart, she'll sign this to avoid a public mess." Meanwhile, at Evans Tech's sleek headquarters, Donna sat in a conference room, her hands trembling as she faced the HR director and two board members. Conrad was in a separate room, undergoing his own interrogation. The HR director, a no-nonsense woman named Carla, laid out the evidence, the photos, the texts, the bank transfers. "Mrs. Campbell," Carla said, "can you explain why you received $50,000 from Mr. Evans outside of your salary?" Donna's voice was shaky but defiant. "It was a bonus for my work on the marketing campaign. Completely legitimate." Carla raised an eyebrow, sliding a stack of budget reports across the table. "Then why do these invoices, approved by you, show payments to a vendor that doesn't exist? A vendor tied to an account controlled by Mr. Evans?" Donna's mouth opened, but no words came. She hadn't known about the fake vendor. Conrad had assured her the money was clean. Her mind raced, searching for a way out. "This is a setup," she said finally. "My husband, Joseph, he's jealous. He's trying to ruin me." The board member to Carla's left, a stern man in his 60s, leaned forward. "We'll verify that. But right now, the evidence points to you and Mr. Evans violating company policy. You're suspended, effective immediately, pending further investigation." Across the hall, Conrad wasn't faring much better. The board grilled him on the same financial discrepancies, plus emails showing he'd pressured other employees to cover his tracks. His charm, usually his greatest weapon, was useless against the mounting proof. By 2 p.m., the board had voted to place him on administrative leave and launch a full audit of his accounts. Joseph got the update from Leo as he left Rachel's office. Conrad's out. Donna S. is suspended. Audit's happening now. News blogs are eating it up. Joseph allowed himself a moment of satisfaction, but he wasn't done. He drove to a quiet park and called Leo, who was waiting at the diner. They're scrambling, Joseph said, but Donna's trying to pin it on me. Says I'm jealous. Leo laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. She's got nothing. I checked her phone records, more texts to Conrad last night, begging him to fix this. He's ghosting her. Typical. Joseph's next move was riskier. He'd hired a private investigator to dig deeper into Conrad's finances, suspecting the $50,000 was just the tip of the iceberg. The PI had found a second account, this one offshore, linked to Conrad and used to pay other employees for special projects. If Joseph could get that to the board, it might trigger a criminal investigation. But he had to be careful. Any misstep could expose him as the whistleblower. That evening, Donna returned home, her face pale and her voice low. You did this, didn't you? She said, standing in the kitchen as Joseph sorted through mail. You sent those lies to HR. Not lies, Joseph said, not looking up. Truth. You've been cheating on me with Conrad for months. You took his money, signed off on his scams. Did you think I wouldn't find out? She stepped closer, her voice rising. I made a mistake, okay? But you're destroying my career, my life. You're supposed to love me. Love doesn't mean letting you walk all over me, Joseph shot back. You made your choice when you started this. Now you deal with the consequences. Donna's eyes narrowed. I'll tell them you fabricated everything. I'll say you hacked my accounts, made it all up. Joseph set the mail down, meeting her gaze. Go ahead. The bank records don't lie. Neither do the texts. And the board's already auditing Conrad's accounts. You're both done. She stormed out, slamming the door. Joseph waited until he heard her car peel away, then texted Leo. She's desperate. Keep an eye on her. The GPS tracker on her car showed her heading to Conrad's beach house in Key Biscayne. Joseph wasn't surprised. She was looking for a lifeline, but Conrad was too busy saving himself. By the next morning, the news had exploded. A major outlet picked up the story, naming Conrad and hinting at a senior marketing employee involved in the scandal. Social media was ruthless, with hashtags like #EvansTechScandal trending. Joseph stayed off his phone, focusing on his next meeting with Rachel. The divorce petition was ready, but he wanted to wait until the board's audit confirmed the worst. If Donna and Conrad faced criminal charges, it would strengthen his case for a clean split. Leo called with an update. The PI struck gold. Conrad's offshore account has ties to a shell company in the Caymans. Over $2 million moved through it in the last year. I'm sending it to the board anonymously tonight. Joseph exhaled, the weight of the plan settling in. If this works, they're both finished. They will be, Leo said, and you'll be free. Joseph leaned back in his office chair, the hum of his laptop the only sound in the quiet Miami morning. The news alerts on his phone were relentless. Evans Tech CEO faces fraud probe. Marketing exec suspended amid scandal. The board's audit, fueled by Joseph's anonymous evidence and Leo's offshore account bombshell, had unraveled Conrad Evans' empire overnight. Social media was a firestorm, with employees and investors demanding answers. Donna's name hadn't hit the headlines yet, but whispers of her involvement were spreading fast. Joseph's divorce attorney, Rachel Torres, had called earlier with an update. The board's audit confirmed the fake vendor payments, she said. Conrad's facing potential criminal charges for embezzlement. Donna's implicated too. She signed off on those budgets. If you file the divorce now, we can leverage this to protect your assets. Joseph agreed, instructing her to finalize the petition. He wanted Donna out of his life, but not before she returned the $50,000 from Conrad's secret transfers. At noon, Leo texted, Donna's at Conrad's beach house again. GPS pinged her there 20 minutes ago. She's panicking. Joseph wasn't surprised. Donna had nowhere else to turn. Her career was in tatters, and Conrad was her last hope. But Conrad was drowning in his own mess, with the board and now the SEC digging into his finances. Joseph replied, let her dig her own grave. Send the offshore account info to the SEC. Leo's response was a thumbs-up emoji. By afternoon, the story had escalated. A major news outlet published a follow-up, citing credible sources about an offshore account tied to Conrad. The article mentioned a senior marketing employee who'd received illicit payments, and though Donna wasn't named, The implication was clear. Joseph monitored the fallout from his office, fielding calls from clients who'd seen the news. His IT firm was thriving. Ironic, given Donna's earlier jab about his little projects. Her betrayal had only sharpened his focus. That evening, Donna returned home, her car screeching into the driveway. She stormed into the kitchen, where Joseph was reviewing contracts. "You've ruined everything," she shouted, slamming her phone on the counter. "I'm suspended, my reputation's shot, and now the SEC is sniffing around. This is your fault, Joseph." He set his laptop aside, his voice calm but cold. "My fault? You slept with your boss, took his dirty money, and signed off on his scams. You did this to yourself." Donna's eyes flashed with desperation. "Conrad said he'd fix it. He promised me the money was clean, that it was just a bonus. You don't understand. He has connections. He'll make this go away." Joseph almost laughed. "Conrad's finished. The SEC doesn't care about his connections, and you're tied to his fraud. You really think he's going to save you now?" She faltered, her defiance crumbling. "I didn't know about the fake vendors," she said, her voice breaking. "I trusted him. I thought he cared about me." "That's your mistake," Joseph said, standing. "You betrayed me, our marriage, everything we built. And for what? A con man who used you to cover his tracks." Donna sank into a chair, her hands shaking. "What do you want from me? I've lost everything." "I want the $50,000 back," Joseph said. "The money Conrad gave you. It's in our joint assets, and I'm not letting you walk away with it. Sign the divorce papers, agree to no claim on my business, and we're done." She stared at him, tears welling. "You're heartless." "No," he said. "I'm done being your fool." The next morning, the SEC announced a formal investigation into Evans Tech, freezing Conrad's personal and company accounts. The board officially terminated him, citing gross misconduct. Donna's suspension became a termination as well, with the company issuing a statement about zero tolerance for ethical violations. Joseph watched the news break from his office, a sense of grim satisfaction settling in. His plan, executed with Leo's help, had worked. The evidence, photos, texts, bank records, and now the offshore account, had dismantled Conrad's empire and Donna's career in one fell swoop. Leo met Joseph at the diner that afternoon, sliding into the booth with a grin. "You see the news? Conrad's lawyering up, but he's toast. The SEC's got enough to bury him." "And Donna?" Joseph asked, sipping his coffee. "Fired. No severance. She's radioactive in the industry now. Nobody in Miami's tech scene will touch her." Joseph nodded. "Good. Rachel's filing the divorce today. I'm demanding the $50,000 and a clean split. No alimony, no stake in my firm." Leo raised his coffee mug. "To justice." Joseph clinked his mug against Leo's. "To moving on." But Donna wasn't ready to surrender. That evening, she called Joseph, her voice laced with a mix of fear and calculation. "I'll sign the divorce papers," she said. "But I want half your business. It's community property, Joseph. I got a lawyer now, and he says I have a case." Joseph's grip tightened on the phone. "You're delusional if you think you're getting anything after what you've done. The $50,000 you took from Conrad is mine too. Community property, remember? Sign the papers, or I'll make sure every detail of your affair and fraud hits the news with your name attached." There was a long pause. "You wouldn't," she said, but her voice wavered. "Try me," Joseph said, hanging up. Rachel called an hour later. Donna's lawyer reached out. "They're pushing back, claiming you coerced her into signing those budgets. But I got the evidence on our side. The bank records and texts are clear. She acted willingly. If she fights, she'll lose more than the divorce." Joseph exhaled, the weight of the past weeks pressing down. "What's next?" "We wait for her to crack," Rachel said. "She's got no leverage. The SEC's investigation will keep her tied up, and public opinion's already against her. Keep the pressure on." Joseph spent the night finalizing a press release with Leo, carefully worded to amplify the scandal without naming himself as the source. By morning, the story had spread to national outlets, with headlines like "Tech Mobile's Downfall, Fraud and Affairs Rock Evans Tech." Donna's name finally surfaced in a blog post linked to the illicit payments. Her social media accounts went silent, overwhelmed by comments calling her out. As Joseph drove to meet Rachel the next day, his phone buzzed with a text from Donna. "I'll sign. Just make this stop." He didn't reply. The victory was close, But he wasn't celebrating yet. There was still one final move to make. Joseph sat in the quiet of his lawyer's office, the Miami skyline visible through the window as Rachel Torres slid the divorce papers across the desk. Donna's agreed to sign, Rachel said, her voice steady. No claim to your business, no alimony. And she's returning the $50,000 from Conrad's secret account. It's a clean split. Joseph exhaled, the tension he'd carried for months loosening just a fraction. The plan he'd executed with Leo had worked. Conrad Evans was out, Donna's career was in ruins, and now his marriage was officially over. The past week had been a whirlwind. The SEC's investigation into Evans Tech had escalated, with federal agents raiding Conrad's office and seizing records. The offshore account Leo uncovered, $2 million funneled through a Cayman Islands shell company, had triggered charges of embezzlement and wire fraud. Conrad was out on bail, but his reputation was shredded, his tech empire crumbling as investors pulled out. Donna, named in the audit as a co-conspirator, faced her own legal troubles for approving fraudulent budgets. Her termination from Evans Tech was permanent, and no company in Miami's tech scene would touch her. Joseph's phone buzzed with a text from Leo. Conrad's arraignment is tomorrow. Donna's been subpoenaed. You coming to watch the circus? Joseph typed back, no, I'm done with them. He meant it. The fight had consumed him, but now he wanted to move forward. That evening, Donna showed up at their house one last time to sign the divorce papers. Rachel and a notary were already there, waiting in the living room. Donna stood in the doorway, her posture defeated, her usual confidence gone. I didn't want it to end like this, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Joseph didn't look at her. You made your choices. Sign the papers and we're done. She hesitated, then sat at the table, skimming the documents. The terms were clear, a 50-50 split of their joint assets, minus the $50,000 she'd returned from Conrad's payments. Joseph's IT firm, his pride and joy, was untouchable. Rachel had insured it. Donna picked up the pen, her hand shaking, and signed. The notary stamped the papers, and Rachel collected them. I'll file these tomorrow, she said. You're officially separated. Donna lingered, her eyes searching Joseph's. I know I hurt you, she said. I got caught up with Conrad, with the money, the attention. I thought I could have it all without losing you. I was wrong. Joseph's jaw tightened. You didn't just lose me. You lost yourself. You could have had a good life, Donna, but you threw it away for a con man. She flinched, tears welling, but didn't argue. I'm sorry, she whispered, then turned and left. The door clicked shut behind her, and Joseph felt a weight lift. It wasn't joy. Too much had been broken for that, but it was freedom. The next morning, Joseph met Leo at their usual diner in Coconut Grove. The news was playing on a small TV in the corner, showing Conrad's perp walk outside the courthouse. Leo grinned, raising his coffee mug. To karma. Joseph clinked his mug against Leo's. To starting over. Leo leaned back, his expression softening. You okay? After all this? Joseph thought for a moment. I will be. She betrayed me, but I didn't let it destroy me. That's enough for now. Leo nodded. You did it clean, man. No fists, no guns, just the truth. Megan would have been proud. His voice caught slightly at the mention of his late ex-wife, whose life had unraveled after Conrad's manipulation years ago. Helping Joseph had been Leo's way of settling an old score, but it was justice, not revenge. Over the next few days, Joseph finalized the transfer of the $50,000 from Donna's secret account back to their joint one, which he then split evenly as per the divorce terms. He moved into a new condo in Miami's Brickell district, a fresh start away from the house filled with memories of betrayal. His IT firm was thriving, with new clients calling after his name surfaced as the whistleblower who'd exposed Evans Tech's corruption. He hadn't sought the spotlight, but it brought business and a sense of vindication. Donna, meanwhile, faced her own reckoning. Subpoenaed by the SEC, she cooperated to avoid harsher charges, admitting she'd known about some of Conrad's shady deals, but hadn't acted. Her testimony helped build the case against him, but came at a cost. No one in the industry would hire her. She moved to a small apartment outside Miami, her social media accounts deleted, her once bright career a distant memory. Joseph didn't follow her downfall closely. He didn't need to. The legal system and public scrutiny had done the work. Conrad's trial was set for next month, with prosecutors confident of a conviction. The media had moved on to the next scandal, leaving Joseph to rebuild in peace. A week later, he and Leo took a drive to Key Biscayne, not far from Conrad's now empty beach house. They parked near the shore, watching the waves crash under a fading sunset. "You ever think about what's next?" Leo asked, cracking open a soda. Joseph shrugged. "Keep growing the business. Maybe take up sailing. Something to clear my head." Leo chuckled. "You'll be fine. You're tougher than you look." They sat in silence, the ocean stretching out before them. Joseph thought about the past 9 years, the love he'd had for Donna, the life they'd built, the betrayal that shattered it. But he also thought about the future, one he'd shape on his own terms. The pain was still there, but it was fading, replaced by a quiet resolve. As they drove back to the city, Joseph's phone pinged with an email from Rachel. Divorce finalized. "You're a free man." He smiled faintly, the weight of the past finally gone. The justice he'd sought wasn't just for Don and Conrad. It was for himself, a chance to reclaim his life. Thanks for following Joseph's story. What did you think of the ending? Was justice served? Or would you have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts below, and let's get the conversation going. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of betrayal, justice, and redemption. See you in the next one.